Welcome to Thanksgiving, kinda. So in today's video, I'm going to be recreating, to the best of my ability, what we eat in prison on Thanksgiving. Yes, I bought a tray off Amazon. So I'm going to prepare the tray and then we'll go upstairs to my filming room where the lights are not yellow and we'll talk about it. What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Jess. I'm a person in long-term recovery who has in fact been in prison. If you want to follow me on any other social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, that's $2. It's only ever going to be $2. All of those linked down below, as well as my vlog channel, my Facebook page. We have a lot to go over today though, so let's go ahead and kick this thing off. Do you know how bad I want to tell you that inmates in prison get turkey legs? Nah, they don't. Not in America. But the things I would have done for a turkey leg, I'm just saying. I mean, I'll still do some pretty bad stuff for a turkey leg. Okay, so I recreated a prison Thanksgiving meal. Now this is the meal that the prison serves the inmates. I used this picture for my reference photo to try to make this as legit as possible. Now please keep in mind that every single state is different. State prisons are different than federal prisons. Every state prison is different in the country. County jails are different than prisons. Just so you know, and this has absolutely nothing to do with the video, if right now someone's like, yo, 6 months in county, a year in prison, I'm taking the year in prison. Prison is so much better than jail. Like, there's more movement in prison. You have like a prison job, and in county jail, the only way that they would let me have a job is they didn't, because you have to like not be a felon or like have a violent charge, and contrary to popular belief, having a weapon is violent, even though I didn't hurt anybody. So I did my absolute best to make this as cheap as possible. I didn't season anything. And again, everyone's experience is different. From my experience, things weren't even salted properly, which is like the literal bare minimum. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but salt and pepper is it's not a seasoning. It's the bare minimum, okay? Season your food. We weren't getting Frank's Red Hot. I know. Horrifying. Okay, anyway, so the green beans that I got are great value because I wanted to make this as cheap as possible and as authentic as possible. Okay, so the can of beans was 50 cents. Can of potatoes was 88 cents. And by the way, canned potatoes, like, why? Why do we need canned potatoes? Unless there's like a zombie apocalypse, you know what I mean? Like, and trust and believe I am not complaining, but I just want to know, canned potatoes, it's like sliced watermelon in plastic things. Like, why do we have all this plastic? Like, just buy the watermelon and then cut it up. I will never understand things like that. But the canned potatoes, they were 88 cents. And the reason I went with canned is because the instant potatoes, I think they're like $1 a pack. So I was trying to cut cost as much as I possibly could. Oh no, I'm sorry. The instant mashed potatoes, they're $1.28. So the canned potatoes, definitely cheaper. The great value pie filling was $1.98. Now this was as close as I could get to like the cobbler that they served, because, you know, it's not great, but that's close enough. Now I went with the Oscar Mayer carving board turkey. That was $4. And again, this is as close as you can get in the street. I mean, maybe not. Maybe you can find something that's closer to institutionalized food, because this is definitely gonna have a little bit more flavor. I splurged on the gravy. Listen, I know the packets are $1, but I'm lazy and I didn't wanna make a whole thing on the stove of gravy, but if I should have bought the instant gravy that you make on the stove, because that's $1. The Heinz gravy was $1.98. The scoop of butter from my fridge was for free because I already had it, but they put butter on every single tray and that counts towards calories, but we're gonna get there in a second. Stovetop stuffing. Listen, I'm lazy. I'm not trying to cornbread stuffing. This has more texture to it than cornbread stuffing had on my last Thanksgiving prison tray. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying. I also hate cornbread. Okay, so according to Google, prisons have to serve inmates a minimum of 1,800 calories to 2,000 calories a day for adults. So somewhere in the range of 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day is what every adult inmate is supposed to have on their tray. Here's the thing, they count butter as a calorie, okay? So every single thing on this tray is counted towards that, even the watered down Kool-Aid that I created. I know on the picture it says coffee and milk, and trust and believe those calories count towards the whole tray. But I didn't have coffee and milk on my last Thanksgiving tray, to the best of my knowledge. It was watered down Kool-Aid. So it's like a drop of Gatorade in like a cup of water. Yay. So this tray was made for pretty cheap, and that's the whole point. That's the whole goal of the prison, to cut costs wherever they can, especially if it's a for-profit prison. For-profit prisons cut down the amount of meals, the amount of staff, the amount of training the staff get. Everything that you could possibly imagine is cut down because their entire goal is to improve their bottom line. Private prisons definitely need to be, you know what I mean? They're just not good. They hurt staff, they hurt, you know, the inmates. It's just a very corrupt, very horrifying system that causes more harm than good. And when I talk about that, a lot of people are like, just don't go to a prison and they won't violate your human rights. Or inmates don't have rights. I get that comment all the time, and that's just not true. Inmates do have basic rights. They don't have full constitutional rights, but they shouldn't be starved. You know, so to serve an adult 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day, okay, we're hungry. I'm gonna tell you right now, every single inmate in prison is hungry. We're hungry all the time. And I know that people think that they do that just to deter you from going back to prison, but that's not how it works. If living in inhumane conditions, being hungry 24/7, being uncomfortable, not having your basic needs met, having to fight for tampons, I know. If all of these things, being harassed by the guards, beaten by the guards, if all of these things affected recidivism, and if that deterred inmates from going back to prison, then our recidivism rates would be so low. That's just not how it works. That is not how it works. Harming people to try to deter them from going back to prison while we're in a system that profits off the backs of the suffering, it doesn't work. Do you know how the government is like, don't do drugs because they're gonna ruin your life? And then the government catches you with drugs and then they put you in prison and then they ruin your life. It just seems crazy. And then you go to prison and like you're trying to get off drugs, but then like you can just buy drugs and like there's drugs in prison and the guards sell you drugs and they bring in alcohol and like cell phones and stuff. So it's not working. Back to Thanksgiving. Trust and believe there is not an inmate in prison that is going to complain about a meal where they get a little extra. They're so happy about it. You thought I wasn't gonna eat it? I'm gonna eat it. Anytime we could get something extra, we were so excited about it and so happy about it. In my experience for breakfast, we'd get like cinnamon rolls, maybe pancakes, and again, every single facility is different. Also, we only get 2 meals that day because the amount of food they're giving on like the breakfast trays and the lunch trays, dinner, it's a lot more food than you would usually get, or maybe it all equals 2,000 calories, I don't know, but typically you're only gonna get those 2 meals. Now, what are the inmates making? Oh, we're gonna eat all of that. We're gonna go to the chow hall and get all of that, and then we're gonna go back to the dorm and we're gonna make something together usually. You're gonna cook with your I almost said family. You're gonna cook with your friends. You're gonna cook with your people, and you're going to do your absolute best to not be super sad that it's Thanksgiving and you're away from your family. So we're gonna cook up a bunch of stuff. Maybe we're gonna make a whole big thing of like nachos or a whole big log or spread, and I have made all of these recipes on the internet. So we would make something, anything like that. And there's tons of different recipes, tons of different versions of this. We're gonna make desserts and we're gonna throw in together so that we're not freaking depressed. You know what I mean? It's not easy to do time away from your family, especially during the holidays. Another thing in prison that is kind of a struggle on the holidays is the phone. You're probably not gonna get on that phone on Thanksgiving. The line is gonna be crazy. Maybe we're gonna have to create like a system. And some prisons have like a log where like you sign up like, okay, my time is between 6 and 6:30 or whatever. So some prisons like make you do like a sign sheet, or some inmates do that on their own because it does get crazy. So if you have money and you have money on the phone and you're trying to call on Thanksgiving, that's probably not gonna happen. You should have called the day before or the day before that, or like 4 days later. Now every facility is different, right? But there's only gonna be like 3, maybe 4 phones in the unit for like 50 people. So it's not easy to just get on the phone. I'm trying to remember how many times I've been locked up for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I think it was every time. I think it was almost every time. So I've served like a year, a couple of 6-month stints, a 90-day, 2.5 years. And I think it always fell on the holidays. Maybe not always, but it really felt like that. I do know that it happened enough times to where my mom would be like, okay, well, Thanksgiving is gonna be in January then, or February, or whatever it was that I was getting out. And she was always really cool about that. Or if I was traveling the country because I was on the run, yeah, Thanksgiving in March. If you guys wanna see any of the other recipes that I made in prison, like the Inmates the inmate recipes. I will leave a playlist linked in the description box down below, but I'm gonna end today's video here. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay in recovery, whatever that looks like to you, because there is no wrong way to recover. And I'll see you guys in my next one.